If you ever felt invisible in a world full of noise, this story will touch your heart. Because tonight, in a crowded restaurant where laughter echoed like music, a young deaf woman sat in silence, until a stranger's kind hand spoke words that changed her life forever. Broken Heart sparkles. Before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us what true kindness looks like. Revolving Hearts. Her name was Lila, 26, with a soft smile that carried both courage and pain. She had lost her hearing when she was 8, after a high fever left her world forever quiet. But she never let it stop her from dreaming. Her friends called her brave, her co-workers admired her patience, and her mother often said she had the heart of an angel. Yet tonight, as she waited at a table set for two, courage alone couldn't stop the tremor in her fingers. It was her first blind date, something her best friend arranged, promising her the guy was sweet, mature, and understanding. Lila had spent extra time choosing her dress, a light blue one that made her eyes sparkle. Her dark hair fell in gentle waves, and her hands trembled slightly as she checked her phone again, making sure she was on the right table. She could read lips well, she reminded herself. She could make this work. Then she saw him, Ethan, the man she was supposed to meet. He looked about 30, with stylish hair and the kind of confident grin that made people notice him. But as soon as he reached her table, something changed. His smile faded. "Wait, are you deaf?" he mouthed, his words sharp even without sound. Lila nodded shyly, tapping her phone to show him the translation app she used to communicate. But his expression tightened. He pulled back slightly, looking around, embarrassed. She typed quickly, "Hi Ethan. I'm so happy to finally meet you. I hope you don't mind communicating this way." He glanced at the screen, sighed, and typed back slowly, "You didn't say you couldn't talk. This is weird." The message hit her like a slap. She tried to smile, but her heart started sinking. She typed again, "I can speak a little, but people find it hard to understand me. I hope that's okay." He didn't respond this time. Instead, he motioned to the waiter for a drink and started scrolling through his phone, not even looking at her. Every time she tried to type something, he gave short, dismissive replies. And then, after barely 10 minutes, he stood up, mumbled something she couldn't read, and walked away, leaving her sitting there, alone. Lila stared at the empty seat, her vision blurring. Around her, the restaurant buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, music, a world full of sound she couldn't reach. She wanted to disappear. But then, across from her, a soft movement caught her eye. At a nearby table sat a man with a little girl, about 7 or 8. The man looked around 32, with kind brown eyes and an exhausted gentleness that only single parents carry. His daughter was eating spaghetti, giggling softly. The man noticed Lila's trembling hands, the way she wiped her tears quickly, trying to pretend she was fine. He leaned closer to his daughter and whispered something. Then, slowly, he raised his hands and signed, "Perfectly. Are you okay?" Lila froze. Her heart jumped. She blinked, uncertain. Did he really just sign that? Her breath caught as she slowly signed back, "You know sign language?" The man smiled. "Yes. My daughter, Emma, is hard of hearing. I learned for her." Something in Lila's chest cracked open, a mix of relief and warmth. She smiled for the first time that night. Emma waved shyly at her, her small fingers forming the sign for hello. Lila waved back. The man, his name tag said Daniel, motioned to the chair across from him. "Would you like to join us?" he signed. She hesitated, but his sincerity felt safe. She gathered her courage and sat down. From that moment, the restaurant felt different. They began signing, slow at first, then smoother, laughter dancing between their gestures. Daniel told her he was a single dad, a graphic designer who worked from home so he could take care of Emma. His wife had left when Emma was 3, unable to handle raising a child who couldn't hear. But she's my whole world, he signed, looking at his daughter with pride. Lila's eyes softened. She told him about her job at the library, how she loved books because they spoke without sound. How people often pitied her, but books never did. Daniel looked at her, really looked, and signed something that made her throat tighten. You deserve better. No one had ever said that to her. Not like that, not with eyes that truly meant it. She smiled back, tears shining in her eyes. For the first time in a long while, the silence around her didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. Warm. Like home. Lila didn't expect to see Daniel again, but life has its gentle ways of leading two hearts back together. A few days later, as she was shelving books at the library, she noticed a familiar little hand waving at her from across the aisle. It was Emma, beaming, holding a children's book tightly. And behind her stood Daniel, smiling. He signed, "We come here often. I didn't know you worked here." Her heart skipped. She smiled. Now you do. From that day on, Daniel and Emma became regular visitors. Emma loved reading with Lila, learning new signs through stories. And Daniel, well, he found every excuse to stay a little longer, to talk a little more. He'd bring coffee, ask her about her day, share sketches from his design projects. Sometimes, they'd sit quietly, signing in small gestures between the hush of pages turning. As weeks passed, something beautiful bloomed. Daniel admired Lila's strength, her grace, the way she smiled through pain. Lila admired his patience, the way he adored Emma, and how he never made her feel broken. One evening, as they walked out of the library together, the sky turning gold, Daniel stopped. He signed gently, "You've changed my daughter's world. She's happier because of you." Lila signed back, her heart pounding, "She changed mine too." "And, you did." For a moment, they just looked at each other, words unnecessary. Then Daniel took a step closer and signed, "Can I take you to dinner?" She hesitated, remembering her last dinner. But Daniel's eyes weren't like Ethan's. There was no pity, no hesitation. Only warmth. So she smiled and nodded. That evening, in the same restaurant where her heart had once shattered, Lila returned, this time not alone. Emma sat between them, giggling as they all signed together. The waiter, confused but amused, watched as they ordered entirely through sign language. Lila felt alive. Seen. Whole. Midway through dinner, Daniel leaned toward her. "You know," he signed, "I saw you that night. You looked so lost. I wanted to say something then." She smiled. "And you did. You said exactly what I needed to hear." He reached across the table, took her hand gently, and signed, "Then let me say it again, you deserve better, Lila. You deserve love that listens even in silence." Her eyes filled. She squeezed his hand, unable to sign back through her tears. But Daniel understood. Emma giggled and signed, "Kiss," which made them both laugh. That night didn't end like her first one had. It ended with laughter, connection, and hope, proof that even in silence, love speaks the loudest. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us, love doesn't need words, only understanding. Sparkling Heart.